Hello everyone, welcome to our presentation. Today we will explore Unit 1, the nature of science and its branches. We'll be looking at what science is all about and the different fields it includes. This is a great opportunity to understand how science helps us understand the world around us. So, let's dive into this exciting topic together. Welcome to the next part of our journey. In earlier grades, you studied environmental science, which gave you a solid foundation in understanding our environment and how it works. Now, we're shifting gears a bit to explore general science. This branch focuses on concepts that you encounter in everyday life, making science more relatable and applicable to your daily experiences. We'll start with Activity 1.1, where I want you to think about what science really is. First, how would you define science in your own words? Think about what it means to you personally. Next, we'll look at how science is divided into different branches or fields. This helps us understand the various ways scientists study the world around us. Lastly, we'll discuss the differences between indigenous science and conventional science. Both are valuable, but they approach knowledge and understanding in unique ways. Understanding these distinctions is essential because it broadens our perspective on how knowledge is gathered and used. It also ties into the bigger picture of appreciating diverse ways of knowing and understanding the world. So, let's keep these ideas in mind as we go through the presentation. What is science? Scientiam mal. So the word science actually comes from the Latin word scientia, which means knowledge. But science is more than just knowing facts. It's a method we use to understand the world around us, whether it's the physical environment, natural phenomena, or even social behaviors. It's based on observation, carefully watching what happens, and experimentation, testing ideas through controlled procedures. And importantly, science relies on evidence, solid data that supports or refutes our hypotheses. What I want to emphasize is that science is not about just memorizing facts. It's about developing a way of thinking, questioning, and exploring that helps us truly understand how things work. This approach allows us to go beyond just knowing and move towards discovering and explaining. And that's what makes science such a powerful tool in our ongoing quest for knowledge. Today, I want to talk about the different types of science, or what we call akaku scienceae. First, let's look at indigenous science. This form of science is built from community experience, meaning it's developed over generations through everyday life and shared knowledge. It includes social, physical, and spiritual understanding, so it's a holistic way of knowing that connects people, nature, and spirituality. It's deeply rooted in the culture and traditions of the community. On the other hand, we have conventional science. This is the kind of science that's based on the scientific method, observation, experimentation, and evidence. It's what most of us think of as Western science, and it's recognized globally as the standard approach to understanding the natural world. Both types of science are valuable and offer different perspectives. As we explore these, it's important to see how they can complement each other and broaden our overall understanding of the world around us. Why learn indigenous knowledge? Well, first, it helps preserve our culture and heritage, keeping our traditions alive for future generations. It also plays a crucial role in solving local problems by using the knowledge and practices developed by communities over generations. This kind of knowledge often complements modern science, providing practical solutions that science alone might not offer. For example, in Ethiopia, there are some well-known practices like the use of hygieia, also called kaso, for medicinal purposes, or damekis and baharzaf, which are traditional ways of managing various issues. Additionally, meat preservation techniques using salt and smoke have been traditionally used to keep food safe and edible over longer periods. Now, I want you to think about your own community or local area. For Activity 1.2, find a local indigenous practice that addresses a specific problem, whether it's agriculture, health, or daily life, and prepare to share how it works and why it's important. This activity helps us see the value and relevance of indigenous knowledge in solving real-world problems today. Now, let's take a closer look at the branches of science, or as we say in Afaan Oromoo, Damuan Scienceae. In Activity 1.3, we're asked to identify the major branches of science and describe some key fields like physics, chemistry, and biology. Broadly speaking, science is divided into two main categories. First, we have natural science, which is all about studying the natural world around us, everything from the stars in the sky to the tiniest particles. Then there's social science, which focuses on society and human behavior, how people interact, how cultures develop, and how societies function. Understanding these categories helps us appreciate the scope of scientific inquiry and how it influences our daily lives. When we talk about physics, we're exploring the fundamental laws that govern energy, matter, and the universe. Chemistry, on the other hand, deals with the composition of substances and how they interact, change, and combine. Biology is the study of living organisms, from plants and animals to humans, understanding their structure, function, and evolution. So these fields are interconnected, but each has its unique focus, helping us better understand the world and ourselves. This overview ties into our broader theme of exploring the vast and diverse world of science, showing how different branches contribute to our knowledge and progress. Let's take a closer look at the subfields within natural science. First, we have biology, which is all about studying living things. This includes plants, animals, bacteria, and even humans, basically, anything that's alive. It helps us understand how living organisms grow, reproduce, and interact with their environment. Next, there's chemistry, which focuses on the properties and changes of substances. Think of it as understanding what things are made of and how they transform, whether it's a chemical reaction or the way materials combine. Chemistry is fundamental because it explains many processes in our daily lives, from cooking to medicine. Finally, physics investigates matter, energy, and their interactions. It's about understanding the fundamental principles that govern how things move, how energy is transferred, and how forces work. Physics helps us grasp the nature of the universe at both the smallest and largest scales. Connecting this to the overall theme, these subfields highlight the diversity within natural science, each focusing on different aspects of the natural world, but all working together to deepen our understanding of the universe. Now, let's take a closer look at the overlapping fields in natural science. First, we have physical chemistry, which combines principles from both chemistry and physics. This field helps us understand how molecules behave and interact, bridging the gap between the microscopic and macroscopic worlds. Next is biophysics, where we apply physics concepts to study biological systems. Think of it as using physics tools to explore how living organisms function at a fundamental level. Then there's biochemistry, which merges biology and chemistry to explain the chemical processes that drive life, like how enzymes work or how cells produce energy. These interdisciplinary fields are incredibly important because they allow us to explain complex phenomena in nature and living systems more comprehensively. They show us that understanding the natural world often requires crossing traditional boundaries and integrating knowledge from multiple scientific disciplines. Now, let's take a closer look at these visual aids, or facii scientia as we call them. On the left, we have diagram 1.1, which displays the main branches of science. You can see how science is organized into different fields, each with its own focus but all interconnected. Then, on the right, diagram 1.2 shows how these natural science fields are interrelated, emphasizing that they don't exist in isolation, but work together to deepen our understanding of the natural world. I recommend adding simplified diagrams directly on the slide to make these connections clearer, especially if you're explaining this to an audience unfamiliar with the concepts. The key idea here is that science is a web of interconnected disciplines, all contributing to a broader understanding of nature. This interconnectedness reinforces the overall theme that science is a collaborative and integrated effort to explore the world around us. All right, let's go through exercise 1.1 with some questions and answers to solidify our understanding. First, what is science? Well, science is really a systematic method we use to understand the world around us, and it relies heavily on evidence. It's all about observing, experimenting, and drawing conclusions based on facts. Next, we have to identify 3 branches of natural science. These are biology, chemistry, and physics. Each of these fields focuses on different aspects of the natural world, but they all aim to uncover how things work. Now, which field studies matter and energy? That's physics. Physics explores the fundamental properties of matter and energy, helping us understand the universe at its most basic level. Finally, let's look at the difference between biophysics and biochemistry. Biophysics studies the physical processes that occur in living organisms. Think of it as applying physics principles to biological systems. On the other hand, biochemistry focuses on the chemical reactions within living organisms, like how enzymes work or how nutrients are processed. Connecting all these points, you see how each branch and field contributes to our overall understanding of life and the universe, aligning perfectly with the broader theme of science